Pathmark is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmark qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with the relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmark to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmark.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Tom Mcloughlin from SEO Travel, founder there for more than 13 years already with the company. Tom, how you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, it's great. Thank you so much for being on and we're sharing a little bit of what SEO and your expertise there, what you guys have. So first off, Tom, let's kick it off with then, right? In your own words, tell us a little bit more about your company.
Yeah, so we're a marketing agency for travel companies. We help people in the travel sector get more clients through SEO, PR, email marketing, social media. As you can tell from the clever branding with the naming, I wasn't too inventive when we first started out. I put the two things together and it's served us well until now. But as we've grown, we've kind of added more of the marketing mix into what we do. So we're a bit more of an umbrella marketing company now for people in the travel sector.
That's okay. Awesome. Great to hear that. And so then, Tom, so that way our listeners could get a good understanding there of your company. What would you say is, what does SEO Travel like to solve? Like, what would be the key problem that you guys like to solve?
Yeah, I think our target audience is generally SMEs and smaller businesses. So like I say, we're really just focused on how to do the most appropriate marketing for those people. So for a lot of people, that's SEO and getting them more visible in search. So, if we're working with a specialist in holidays to Mexico, then we'll help them come up and rank for phrases to do with that. But equally, we'll delve into other stuff. Might be conversions an issue, and we want to help with engagement through some email marketing. Might be some paid social to make more of that traffic when it's coming in. But at the end of the day, for us, it's about what's the best approach for a client when they come to us to help them get more business.
Perfect, awesome. And so then, is there a certain vertical segment that you guys like to go for? Is there an ideal ICP for you, Tom?
Yeah, it's definitely, like I say, it's travel. We've got the specialism in travel, but we did actually kind of zone in even more on the smaller businesses. Like when we first started out, we did some work with bigger enterprise level companies and we found it a bit trickier and less rewarding. And we liked the kind of nitty gritty of the day to day of working with other business owners and making things move fast, trying things out, seeing if they worked, and kind of being the David versus Goliath and helping to win that battle. So very much travel focused, tour operators, accommodation websites, people like that. And usually it's work when it's a kind of smaller business that we focus in on.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for sharing that then. Now, how would then somebody in the travel industry usually find out about SEO Travel? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you, Tom?
Yeah, there's a few ways. Obviously, SEO is kind of a big one. We're doing that for other people, so we practice what we preach. And generally, if you're searching for travel and SEO in the same sentence, will come up. But we get a lot of kind of word of mouth and referrals. We've spent a lot of time building our brand up and recognition of the company. We actually changed our business model sort of as a result of COVID and the difficulties that hit the travel sector during that time, to really focus on brand, and we launched a different business model at that point, where we decided to give all the profit that we make from our work with our clients to educational charities. And that was obviously from a point of view of we wanted to make more impact and have a bit more purpose to the work that we do, but it was also a marketing play. And when we talk about why we did it, it was because we believed we would have a better message to get PR coverage, to get, to put our marketing out there, get our name shared around. And it's been really successful in that as a kind of branding exercise that's helped drive the business forward, grow the team, get lots of visibility, get more clients, more revenue coming in.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Tom. And so that way our listeners who are tuned in could go ahead and visit you guys. You could always check them out at seotravel.co.uk. What role does a website then play for client acquisition, Tom?
I think for us, it's about telling that story. So yeah, listen, there's lots of websites that you can find in search, and people will come and land on you from Google after they've searched for something. But if you don't take them from that moment of them finding you and get them engaged with you and your brand and what you're about, then the likelihood is that they'll bounce off and go and look at someone else's website that engages them better. So yeah, for us, it's about telling that story of what we're about, why we're specialists in travel, and what value that brings to clients when they work with us. It's about that 100% initiative that we've rolled out from the business model, and yeah, why people should pick us as a result of that, and you know what part they play then if you know they choose to work with us, how that rolls down into wider impact and purpose in the world, which aligns very well with, you know, the travel sector and smaller businesses that we work with, because, you know, they care about that stuff like we do. So we end up with more clients who are kind of aligned from a value perspective as we are. So I think it's, you know, that's super important that, that you get that. And to me, it's kind of making sure that you've got a good hub of information that when people come in and they find really good content, that's building trust with them. And then, yeah, listen, there's a lot of conversion stuff that comes into that. It's all well and good getting people to your site, but yeah, listen, your website's got to feed people through the journey and lead to them getting in touch with you. So, so yeah, there's a big part there as to, from a more kind of UX side of things, to get people to the point to take action in the way you want them to.
Okay, great. Some great there strategies. So then, is there any tools or other tips, methods that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
Yeah, I think so we've spent quite a lot of time in recent years on the email marketing side of things. I think it's because it's such an old channel, I think people often overlook it and don't give it the time. They think if they just, you know, particularly smaller businesses, if they just sign up to MailChimp and kind of ask people to sign up to a newsletter, they kind of think that's what email marketing is. And we've seen a lot of success with both our work and with clients is kind of creating good lead magnets for people that give them a reason to come and hand over their email, and then doing great automations that's really personalized, that bring people in and give them a kind of ongoing engagement with you and your brand and what you do. And then really getting into segmentation with that. Again, I think people sort of get people onto their email list, and then, yeah, they send them a monthly newsletter and they send the same thing to everyone. And that's just what they do. Whereas I think if you get into segmentation and you start sending different people different things, depending on how they behave and interact with those emails, we've seen there's a huge benefit that you can get from doing that. So yeah, email probably is a big one that I think can take more visitors from your site to turning them into customers and buyers. Another thing is kind of on the video front and tying that in with case studies as well. You know, we're spending a lot of time at the moment really delving into video, which obviously, you know, when you create content like that, there's so many applications that you can use in lots of different areas. But particularly in kind of case study areas, I think if you can bring some personality to case studies, get clients talking about you, about what they do, that's certainly something we're spending more time on, because I think that trust building exercise is far more effective if you can build more of that stuff in and kind of build some face-to-face interaction rather than someone just reading, you know, a blanket page of text that tells you about traffic increases and, you know, a 2-line quote that someone might have said, and who knows if they exist or not.
Yeah, great. Some great insights there for our listeners. Thanks so much for sharing those thoughts, Tom. Well, let's switch gears a little bit then, Tom, and let's talk about you as a leader. You being the founder, I mean, more than 13 years now there at SEO Travel. What are some key tasks you'd like to focus on your day-to-day work?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mix, really. Like you say, I've come from being a marketer solely. I was a freelance when I started the business. It was just me. So I was out there doing the client work in the weeds, kind of going out and getting links and writing content and doing technical SEO and all of that stuff. Obviously, as the team's evolved, we're a team of 25 now. So kind of my day-to-day has changed a bit, where I'm spending a bit more time with the team, coaching, training, kind of still bringing my insight into some of the work that we're doing for clients, I guess, at a higher, more strategic level. And trying to help the people in the team understand what we need to do and why we need to do it. But then equally more strategic work with the business, like I mentioned earlier, kind of more vision orientated things and kind of how we operate. We changed how we work as a team to work in a self-managed way over the last kind of 3 years. So stripped any management and hierarchy out of the business and started to implement roles and responsibilities that meant people, essentially kind of managing themselves and not having someone top down telling them what to do. So there's a lot of that kind of development in the team as time's gone on, that, we trial things and then we bump into something and then we have to sort of step back and try a different direction and different processes and systems that kind of keep the wheels turning on that front. So it's been super interesting doing that stuff. And then, listen, there's still a big sort of sales and marketing element for me. Obviously, I'm here on a podcast talking to you. So there's that kind of marketing side of things where I'm still out there doing things like that, personal brand, social media, all those kind of elements. And then, listen, probably lastly, like recruitment being a very important part. We're super sort of committed and conscious of having a great team and looking after our people. And so when we do bring people through the door, I'm very much a gatekeeper for that process and making sure that whenever we are welcoming new folks into the team, that we're finding the right people and that as they come in, they're onboarded in the right way and they kind of understand and settle in nicely to have a good experience when they join us.
Definitely, that's awesome to hear. I mean, it's all about experience and you already have it. So thank you so much for sharing those thoughts with us. So in your time then, how do you stay up to date with all the trends in the marketing world as far as strategies, news? Is there a preferred channel that you like to go with?
Yeah, listen, we're on it now, so I'm not just saying it, but I'm a big podcast fan. I think I stopped reading the news a while ago. I think there's too much noise going on. And so I kind of moved away from just being online a lot and reading stuff that was online. There's, some blogs that I'm dipping in and kind of newsletters actually that I'm signed up to where I sort of have pulled in a bit more kind of tailored information with that kind of thing in my inbox. But podcasts are usually where I go now, and some more general businessy type ones like Tim Ferriss and Rich Roll and people like that. But there's a fab marketing one called Uncensored CMO, which is really great from a marketing perspective. I like having the earphones in and looking out the window on the train and taking that kind of thing in. And to be honest, I think it's also important to find the balance between, I guess, the trends. I think marketing as a sector and an industry is maybe a bit guilty sometimes of wanting to throw out the new silver bullet and shiny thing that can distract everyone. And we often lose sight of the core principles of that have always worked, and that if you do the right things in the right way, the channel might change or the topic might change, but actually the things people were doing 20, 30, 50 years ago actually still live on. So I'm a big reader as well, and kind of going back to books that have been written for a long time. I think there's a lot to be learned from that kind of stuff as well.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And let's jump into our next section then here, Tom, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready for them?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, perfect. Awesome. First off then, Tom, what is the last book that you read?
Last book was Song of Significance by Seth Godin.
Okay, great read there for our listeners. Next then is, if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
Yeah, I think it's a very topical one at the moment. It's kind of analytics and attribution. There's all sorts of things happening with Google Analytics and GA4 and cookieless and all this kind of thing. If someone could just land a thing in my lap that said, we'll tell you everyone that's coming to your site and your business, and here's where they're coming from, that'd be a very nice headache to take off my workload.
Definitely. Okay, awesome. Next then is, if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Yeah, I think this is probably a bit of a dreamy one rather than one that could actually happen, but it's email. I think for me, I spend so much time in email that if there's someone could just give me the right answers and take that off my plate, I would grab their hand off, but I don't think that's an easy one to do.
Yeah, I think that one's still been in developing for a couple of years already, right? Or more for a while. Yeah. Awesome. And well, Tom, lastly then is, I mean, you have a lot of experience. There's no doubting that. But what is that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
So I would say to get a broader experience of the whole marketing mix earlier on in your career. I think people much more so nowadays will go down quite a specialist route quite early on. So they'll get straight into SEO or straight into email or straight into social. And I think having some time early on where you get some awareness and ability and skills and knowledge in a broader set of the marketing mix then makes you much better when you do specialize down the line, because you understand how those things interact. Like I said earlier, you kind of learn more of the marketing principles rather than, I guess, specific tactics for the channel that you're in. And I think that's super important. I think it makes you a better practitioner further down the line. There's going back to books, there's a great book called Range by David Epstein, and he talks about this of, the kind of generalists become the best specialists down the line. So if there was one thing, that's probably what I'd say.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that advice, not just for yourself, but for our listeners. I think it's some great advice. And well, Tom, we are coming to the end of the show here today, but before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. Say someone forgets everything about the interview today. What is that one thing they should remember about travel, SEO travel?
I think the thing I'd want them to remember would be that change in the business model that I mentioned, because I believe it doesn't just set us apart in terms of kind of having purpose at the heart of what we do and making an impact on the broader world, but I think it's something that all businesses should consider doing that will actually drive forward the performance side of what they do, whether that's reaching revenue goals, team growth, profit, whatever that might be. I believe if you put purpose at the heart of the business and what you do, then that can drive you towards those other more commercially orientated goals. So if that's something that you can do, I've seen amazing benefits that we've seen from it: revenue, better people, been on some cool adventures along the way. I'd definitely think that's a good takeaway.
Definitely some great. You could, as for our listeners, check them out. If you're you're a travel company, SEO Travel is the specialist digital marketing agency for you guys at seotravel.co.uk. Tom, thank you so much for being with us today. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to our next episode at Path Monk Presents. Thanks a lot, Tom.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.